Good almost afternoon. I'm just a few minutes ahead of when I normally start my talks, but I was like ready and to have a million things going on today. So I was like, I'm just going to hop in and get started. So normally I would start and I would talk about who I am and I would talk about what I do and I would do all the things. And today I am just like going to pop in. We're going to have a conversation and I'm going to get rolling on with my day as well as you are. So if you don't know me, my name is Jen. I'm a transformational purpose coach and expert. And what I'm really going to be talking today about though is reaching for your why. So each month I create content. Last month was the idea of wild, and this month is about reach. And so each month I create an acrostic or an acronym that stands for something powerful that I'm going to be teaching and talking about to coach in for about a month at a time. And so reach stands for rock the experience of allowing yourself to climb higher. And so one of the tools that I think you really want to do, Chantel, how are you? Oh my gosh, so good to see you. I'm so excited you're here. So one of the things we're going to talk about today is your why. Hi, KJ. Oh my God, this is like old home day. This is so fun. I'm so excited to see you, ladies. Thanks for coming. We're going to be talking about the idea of your why. And so, like I said, normally I come in and I talk about all the things and I talk about how I serve women and blah, blah, blah. And that's great. Today is a celebration of unusual proportion. And so I am not in a space where I wanted to sit down and do this whole, a little bit more formal kind of rigmarole to start the day. This week marks two big monumental things in my life. So this week on Tuesday was the 7th anniversary of my mom's death. And so we're just going to get that out there because that was a big all the feels day. And so it's always a weird day every time it circles back. The anniversary is always tough for anyone who's ever lost a parent or someone important in your life. You know exactly what I'm talking about. This year was particularly tender because this coming Sunday, my daughter is graduating from high school. So the reason I was really inspired to talk about this, I was honestly, you guys, I was like, I don't even know what to talk about. Like yesterday, I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. Normally I'm very planful, but this has been a really chaotic period of time. I had jury duty for 2 weeks that totally throw off my entire game. And then now I'm in this week of transition and celebration and all of these things going on. And then, like I said, to top it off, the anniversary of my mom's loss. And so it's been a really strange week. And here's what I did for myself. And I really want to encourage you to do the same thing. Typically I like to joke that I'm a beast, right? I'll dig right in. I'll just do the things. I'll knock stuff out. I get things done. I'll stay up late. I'm like, I can do all of the things, right? And this week, what I really decided to commit myself to was just being fully present. And I would love to do that every week of every year of my life, right? I mean, like all of us can relate. Like, yeah, I just wish I could walk around and like carve some time out to be fully present to all the things, right? It's not always easy to do that. I totally respect that. Because I knew this week was going to be a really powerful week, I was like, got to like take some time, got to be in the feels, got to allow myself to do the things. I'm wrapping up, getting ready for a really intimate gathering for my family on Saturday to celebrate Chloe's. We're going to have some family coming into town. And so, but we're still getting the house ready. You all know what I'm talking about, getting the decoration stuff organized and the food and that, right? So it's all that stuff. It's that time of year. And so busy doing a lot of that kind of thing as well, but also really wanting to be present to the emotions of the anniversary of my mom, particularly in a time when I know she would have really relished being here. And so it's one of those, like I said, super tender moments for about a million reasons. Some I may touch on today. I may not. I'm going to see where this kind of takes me. But what it did inspire me to do yesterday, I was making crepe decorations. I swear to God, some of those things are literally created by sadists. I'm just going to say, I'm like making these like poof balls. I have to pull them apart and shit's ripping. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my Lord. But between my, pure fury, I'm trying to create this stuff and get it all up and ready for guests and stuff. I'd like pause and like talk to my mom. Then I would cry. Then I would put some shit together. Then I would cry again. It was like nobody was around, thank God. So I could just like be in the space. You know what I'm saying? Be in the feels, be in the moment. And I really have had a lot of time this week to reflect. And it's one of the biggest states that I love to really encourage people to be in is a state of reflection, right? It's one of the basis that I do my all of my course that I work with people in, my signature course that I walk women through about purpose is reflection. And so this week I had a lot of time to kind of like, as I was cooking, as I was cleaning, as I was organizing, decorating, was thinking. And I was like, these two women in my life are really part of my why. And so I sent out an email on Tuesday to my subscribers and I was like, I'm going to tell you my real. We talked about my loss, talked about my story, talked about my mom some, and just wanted to kind of like share that vulnerability. Like this is, hey, everybody's got stuff. KJ, I feel you with being in the fields. I'm doing that today. Bless your heart, sweetheart. Bless your heart. Take the time. Take the time. And I had a couple of people respond back very sweetly about, just wishing me well because they know how it's hard to lose parents, lose a loved one, etc. But I really wanted to talk about that my mom was one of my whys. And so why does your why matter? Right? We hear about this shit all the time. If you're in personal growth, you've probably heard it till you're like, it's coming out your ears, right? Like, oh, your why. Here's why your why matters. Your why matters because it's the fuel. If you want to do something big in the world, it isn't always going to come easily, right? I mean, I know, did I just break the secret for everyone? Everyone just went, oh, just kidding. I know you all know, right? That everything that's big in our lives that really matters to us is gonna be work. And at the times where it feels really burdensome, heavy in the work part and not necessarily so much in the inspiration and creation, etc., we are going to need to have a reason why we get out of bed every day. We're going to need to have a reason why we create what we create, why we volunteer where we volunteer, why we speak the way we do, why we create what we create, whatever it is. If it's poetry, if you're a novelist, if you are somebody that's a sports and fitness enthusiast, I don't care what your jam is. It applies to all of us, right? And so for me, when I talk about my mom is one of my whys, my mom passed away. She had colon cancer. And so we had 9 months to know. They said we have 9 months to a year that we're going to work our best to stave it off. We knew it was coming. And I was talking to a therapy client about it. And so there was only a few of my clients kind of in the journey that had been with me for a very long time. And I was just like, hey, this is what's going on in my life. If I get called in an emergency. So I was very kind of informing my clients of the journey so that in case I needed to like exit stage left in a hurry, they weren't like, what is happening? And she's flaking out. Well, I'm not flaking out for nothing. I've got this big family thing going on right now. So I was talking about my mom and the loss. And she was like, said to me, it was so sweet. And she didn't mean this as a criticism. So when I say it's going to sound, she was like, how can you, like her mom hadn't died yet. And she was like, how can you talk about this the way that you do? Like how you aren't a weepy, sappy mess. And what I explained in my email this week was two things. One, I had 9 months to say goodbye. 9 months. It doesn't mean it didn't suck. It doesn't mean I still don't cry. I did this week a lot. So it doesn't mean that, but it meant I had 9 months to be in the feels. Okay. That's one of the important pieces of being in the feels is that you're processing while it's happening. Hello, psychotherapy, right? Okay. Right. This is what I taught people for 20 years. So I knew it was important to be in the feels while they were happening. And so I did. I really spent a lot of time saying goodbye in my own way, grieving, crying, being pissed, all of the things that come with, right? I mean, like all the things, hopeful, some miracle, what happened? I mean, everyone relates to this, right? But really working to try to be as present as I could. And so that was one. One was I really, truly, I had 9 months to go through it, right? And then the other thing is, and I sort of botched this in my email. So I was like, oh, I really didn't say that the way I said. My mom believed in me 100,000%. That's not a thing, but you get what I'm saying. My mom believed in me 100%. Now, why does that matter? So when I said this to my client, I said, well, one is understand I had time or I had to sit in the grief. I mean, I didn't have to. I opted to because I knew it was not going to get easier ever. Two, the reason that it matters so much that my mom believed in me was my mom had a dream for my life. Now, that doesn't mean she ever sat down and said, Jennifer, I want you to do your life like this. That was not my mom's style. What I do mean is that my mom believed with absolute certainty in her heart that I could do anything I set my mind to. And so you might go, okay, that's nice. But the reality is I know she wants me to live into that. So every minute that I sit in a space of feeling stuck and sad or, like just in my state of grief, and I'm not living up to the dream she has for my life. And so I want to be really clear about that. That is one of my huge whys. My mom believed in me. My mom had a vision for me. I'm going to work every single day to live into that vision, to be the kind of mom that walks around up in heaven with a very puffed up chest and very, very proud of what her daughter's doing. And not just me, I have sisters and siblings. And so I'm sure she's proud of all of us, but this is my task, right? This is how I see it. This is my why. And my mom and I, for those of you that don't know, had a really tumultuous relationship. There's a lot of old history back there and some pretty significant things that happened from my age, about 17 to probably about 23 or so. And we're not going to dive into that today because we don't got time. And it's bad juice and I don't feel like talking about it, to be honest. And so we had to really work for our relationship. It wasn't something that was just this like straight, pure, clean, easy relationship. It wasn't. It was superhuman. There was bumps and dings, and right, it was like an old jalopy car. But that bitch got me wherever I needed to go, right? I mean, so I want you to think about it that way. It was like, I know that this was kind of like a rusted up, broken down, sometimes not functioning thing, but really, truly, it always crossed the finish line. And my mom was probably truly my singularly biggest supporter and cheerleader in my life, aside from my husband. And so losing her was a big deal. It was a really, really monumentally big deal, as it is for anybody who's experienced big loss, right? But I want to stand in her legacy. She had a dream for me. She believed in me. So if I sit and I'm a sappy mess, and also, right, when I'm not a sappy mess and I can talk about her like I can today, I pay homage to her and her journey, her life, her story, and what she left. And so to me, and I could cry and you'd still get that energy. It's not that you wouldn't, right? But I want to tell her story. I want to be a walking, talking piece of my mother's legacy, right? Oh, by the way, blue is her favorite color. Which is, by the way, why my brand color is teal. I almost always will have it a color of blue of some kind in honor of my mother. So that is why the color is what it is. And so and I don't know that I say that story very often. As I was writing this email out this week, I was like, oh my gosh, like there's probably some things that I forget to say. I forget y'all don't know me that way. But that's the reason that I incorporate blue into my content, my stuff, because it's in honor to my mother. So that's one. The other why, and I'll probably incorporate them together, is my daughter. And my daughter is, like I said, graduating, and I had a very messy late teenage life. One of my whys was I wanted to make sure that my daughter did not have that experience. And so I worked hard to make that happen. So I had to do my own psychotherapy. I had to do a lot of my own stuff, my own healing work, because I wanted to show up differently than my journey had been. Lots of things about my childhood and life were spectacular and beautiful, and some of them wretched. And so it was the wretched parts that I really wanted to attend to, so I didn't recreate that same journey for my daughter. And so here we are, right? And I have this incredible daughter. And what I want her to see, right? This is so important to me. What I want her to see is that I live every day with intention. I live every day like it could be my last. I live every day taking risks, because big risk means big reward in terms of what I believe I'm put here to do. And so I talk with her about the struggles on the days where things don't feel so great, or I talk with her when I'm afraid, or I talk about, if there's a success and we get to celebrate it, I celebrate it with her. But I definitely want my daughter to be exposed to what it's like to be a woman who tries and reaches for big shit in her life. And that's very important to me. That messaging is just so important that young women, all people need it. This is not a diss. This is not to disregard men or, young men. I'm just speaking today to women, and I feel that women need so much encouragement to stand in their power. And thank you, KJ. You're so sweet. It's a big deal. I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud of her for graduating. And she did some spectacular shit, which I'll say in a minute. But I want to say that I really think that that's so very important, is that I am a living, walking, talking, right, car. What does she see in that? Am I taking risks? Am I living into my purpose? Am I standing in my power? Do I listen to my intuition? Do I fight for what's important? Am I reaching for the things that help me grow and evolve, right? Who am I? What am I standing for in this life? So I want you to really think about what you stand for, because here's the deal. And it's like I said, your why is your fuel. And when you're in a shitty space, you might not have such an easy time getting out of bed in the day or doing the tasks that you don't like to do. Staying organized and on top of things, right? Trudging through some parts of the jobs that aren't that spectacular, or when you're not feeling it, because that happens to everybody. Okay. And if I don't have an ultimate foundation of that why, what fires me up, why it fires me up, I'm likely gonna jump out of my lane. Okay, so you know that I talk to them all the time about, your lane, get in your lane. Sometimes we need to change lanes. That's important too. But I want you to really understand that you need fuel for that vehicle to keep going in your life, and that's your why. You need a motivation, inspiration. What I'm going to say is this: I don't think that money, for many of us, like a huge percentage of us, I don't think money does it. I don't think money cuts it. The one time I would say that I think money would cut it for you as an inspiration is if you had nothing. If you grew up having nothing, if you grew up with a struggle that way, then very likely you might be in a place where you might be like, oh shit, okay, well, if I had nothing, I come from nothing, I'm going to create something out of that. Okay. And then money might be a motivator to kind of get you out of bed more often than not. And I want you to really think about this. What is your why? It's likely going to be connected somewhere to a relationship or someone, something that you love deeply. Very often. Every time? No. There could be another reason. There could be a part of your story that created a space for you that you were like, I have to live into this. One of my whys for quite some time in treating teenagers was my struggle as a teen. So at 17, when the shit hit the fan in my family, I never wanted another teenager to have to go through that. Now, did I reasonably think I was going to be capable of stopping all teenagers from going through painful experiences? Of course not. I'm not stupid. Did I want to be there in a space, holding space for teens to work through the challenges of their lives? Absolutely. I was real passionate about that. And for 20 years, that's what I did. And so I was really driven in that. The other thing I was driven in was I was granted a really huge dose of generosity as a teenager. So despite the fact that there was a lot of pain, I also had people that stepped in and did miraculous things to help me, save my life, honestly, right? So I also have a very firm belief about pay it forward. So for much of my life, I have found these whys along the way, right? So when I was a teenager, I had a painful experience. My why as an adult was I want to help some teenager not have that same journey. I want them to know that there's a safe place to land. I also want to give back to the world because I was granted a generous gift that allowed me to stay in my high school, that allowed me to stay in that safe space with adults that cared about me and knew me while my life was coming to shreds, right? The house was on fire. Everything was burning down. Everything was burning down. Everything safe and secure was gone. And so I know what it's also like to be the face of incredible generosity. So I dedicated part of my life to that. I will never lose that notion of giving back. And because if you've ever been on the receiving end of something in the middle of a shitstorm in your life, you know exactly what it feels like. There is nothing like it. And it's so profoundly like life-changing that I was like, if I can do this for other people as much as possible, I want to do that. So again, that was at one stage of my life. That was part of the evolution, right? And so sometimes our whys will shift. Right? Before I had Chloe, the Chloe wasn't a why, right? So like then all of a sudden something changes in your life and you go, oh my God, okay, now I've got this person, this event, this thing, this part of my story. And now I'm like, oh my God, I'm fired up about that. That's my why. That's my why. I'm going to give you my bigger why because I think that this is really powerful. My other bigger why, and I'm 47, so I'm getting damn close. It's going to be 48 this year. I can't even believe it. That's like sounds absolutely bonkers to me. So in August, it'll be 48. And my view has changed as we age. Hi, sweetheart. I'm sorry I didn't even see you in there. I feel so bad. I missed somebody on Instagram. I'm so sorry about that, sweetheart. Jessica's in here with us. But I wanted to say that, like as I've evolved as a human being, the world becomes a bigger goal of mine, not just my inner sanctum, right? Which is where you start because that's normal. It's developmental. And that's where I started. And so now it's like, oh, I want to have way big impact. Right. So my mom is a why, right? I want to step into the legacy that she imagined for me, the dreams she had for me. I want to be her wildest dream. I want to show my daughter how to stand in her power, how to be a powerful woman, how to love herself, how to take care of herself, how to be in touch with what she needs for her life, for herself. And she already does it in spades, which is incredible. And then I really want to influence all of the women. I want all of the women to be thinking about these things, to be talking about risk taking, to be talking about reaching, to be talking about purpose. Hi, Patience. I want them to be talking about all of this, right? All of it. I want us to stand in our power. I want us to stand in our intuition, in your strengths, your gifts, your talents. I want you to be able to really embrace who you are and how you are in the world. And I don't want that for 2 people or 3 people. I want it for everyone. Every woman needs to know. I wish to impart what I know at 40, almost 48, to my daughter who's going to be 18. I want to save her the time. If we can catch kids earlier, right, we save them the time. And so for me, it's like, can we get the lives going in a place sooner that they can be better, that the dreams and the visions are bigger? So I want her to have a bigger vision and dream than mine, right? And so on and so on. And so absolutely stand in the power and purpose, Patience. That's right. Catch them early. I know you agree with this. Patience is there with me. She's nodding. I can feel it. And so this is so important to me. And so those are my whys. Now, those are my whys now. Some of them will stay and some of them will change, right? If I'm blessed enough to be a grandparent someday, maybe it changes again. Maybe I hit something interesting in my work and then it shifts again. And I love that, right? So we want to keep it that it's fluid, right? So keeping an open mind. So do me a solid. Think about what your motivation and inspiration is. Would you share with me in the chat? What is your why? So really think about it, and don't overthink this. Don't worry about anybody else's opinions, what anybody else will think. That's not what we're doing here. There's zero judgment. I would love to hear from you about your why. I want to know that having an anchor and a space of understanding what's going to motivate and inspire you every day is absolutely crucial to your purpose. Because, like I said, it will not always be easy. And when the days are hard or they're long or we're going through a loss or someone is sick, I can think of a million things, right? That aren't going the way we want. Okay. I want to know what the inspiration is. I want to know what keeps you going. So tell me in the comments what keeps you going. What is your why? And you might have several. So by all means, share any of them that you're willing to share. If you're willing to be vulnerable, I would be so deeply grateful. And I know that every time someone watches a video, if you're commenting, other people are taking it in. So it's for me, because I love to hear from you and I love to share that connection with you, and other people are learning from you. So I want to speak briefly about my daughter and what she did. Because it's such a great, beautiful story. And I'm probably going to talk about it actually at her mini celebration on Saturday. But I'll share it with all of you, which is she wanted to do post-secondary education, which is college courses during high school. And she wanted to do it after her sophomore year. Sophomore year was a very tough year for her. There was a lot of stuff going on. It was probably the scariest year I've ever parented her, if I'm being honest. And I was real worried about her. And she came back and she's like, I really want to do PSEO. And my husband's talking to her and I'm like this. Chloe has been, from the time she was born, an old soul. She was like somehow, I don't know, 50-year-old woman in like a 10-year-old body. I don't know. She was just always an old soul. And so I was like trying to slow her down. Do you know what I'm saying? It wasn't that I didn't want her to achieve, right? That's not it. It was like, I want you to be a kid. Because she's so serious. And she has a great sense of humor, by the way. She's not always serious, but she's so serious about her drive. Yeah, she's an old soul, Patience. Oh my God. Tell him I'm going to come back to you in a second, sweetheart. And so, I was really against it. I really was. I was like, dude, you have your whole life to work. Dude, you have your whole life to do school, whatever you want it is, your career. Trust me when I say, be a kid, because you won't have forever to do that. Nope. I want to do this. I'm like, okay. fine. And tries to get into the U of M, didn't get in, but did community school for the first year, which is very common because it's not as common for kids to get into the U as a junior. And she nailed it. And then for senior year, applied to the U of M and got in. So as her senior year, she was doing college level, all college coursework. So the benefit is that obviously you're getting a leg up, and very often you're getting college courses. So it reduces the amount of years you'd have to do in college when you're paying, which is a really cool gig, right? If it works, but it's not for everybody. And so I was just trying to kind of like help her slow down. I was wrong. I was wrong. And I love telling these stories from my parenting vulnerability because I'm taking notes. Patience, I think you've got it anyway. But I want to say this. My husband and Chloe were like, Team PSEO. Mom was like, this is not going to go well. And I was wrong. Chloe was never meant for traditional high school. She's not a selfie taker. She doesn't need 500 friends. She's super introverted. She's very loyal. She wants a very small community. That's just the way she is, an old effing soul. And so I had a vision, right, of what it was going to look like for her to do high school. She is not me. We are like opposite ends of the spectrum. My childhood was stolen, part of it. So I know that personally, I was like, do not lose your childhood because it's going to be gone in a blink, right? However, one of the things I most admire about my daughter was her will. And when she decided that shit was going to go down a certain way, I'm not lying. That's how it went. From the time she was in my womb, she came a month early, maybe 6 weeks. She came early. It was like, okay, well, this is just going to go down. The kid, from the minute that she hit life, that's the way she's going to be her whole life. She is driven. She's just like got this single laser focus. I'm going to do this. And as a kid, raising her was like, like the most creative, hard effing parenting on the planet, right? She's smart. So it's like, I could be like, cause I said so. Shit was never going to work. So we really had to be creative parents for her. And I had to really listen to her intuition. And the sweet spot was not squashing her shit because of my own ideas, and also teaching her to have like manners and, like also like, okay, you don't just always get to do the things the way you want them. You're going to have to sometimes juggle that. Right. But I didn't want to take that fire out of her because I knew it was going to be important. Despite the fact that it made my life harder, holy shit. It made my life harder. I will not lie. And I knew it. I'm like, this is going to be one of her greatest assets. And so it is our fine little walk on the balance beam, right? Not to squash it in her, not to squelch that fire, and to teach her how to use it. So my friends, here's what I'm going to say. She's graduating with honors. I am incredibly proud. And I'm more proud of any of that achievement. And I want to be very clear about this. More than any grade she could ever receive, right? More than any cord she'll put around her neck on Sunday is her character. And they don't hand out cords for that. They don't hand out cords for grades for your character, right? Only for grades, only for a GPA or an activity or an event or some special, God knows what they even do now. I don't even know. I'm so old. I have no idea. Her character is what she will walk away with. And that is everything. And so I just want to say, in this celebration of this crazy week of all the things, that this is my why. And being a part of her journey and helping her figure out how she needed to be in this world is one of the greatest honors. And watching her trust herself, not just take my shit, not just listen to me, right? I think I'm really smart. I worked with teachers for 20 years. I think I'm really smart. She didn't just listen to me. She listened to her. And that's character building. And there's nothing more important than character, right? And so I just want to reflect that, because that's magic. And that's something that she was wired with, that, yes, I hope we fostered it. I hope we supported it. I hope we did. I hope we did. But I'll tell you, that's where she landed. And what a blessing that is, right? And so that's the culmination, the celebration this week is not just grades, not incredible, just incredible achievement, not just going to college as a high schooler, which is so hard. I mean, that's so hard, right? But to nail that and to be a good human, right? That's the goal. The goal is good humanity, good soul, to make this world a better place to live. And so, because grades are, that's nice. But at some point, and all of you know this, the grades don't matter. It matters how you show up. It matters what you do and who you are. And that was really what we wanted to get her prepared for. And I know, because I've seen her do it, she will stand in her power, because she is already doing it. So those are some of my whys. Tal, I want to go back. Thank you so much, ladies, for sitting with me. You guys are the best. Chantel said her why is my kids, my mom. Not let them win, and somehow a support for people that have been there that don't have support. So you have one of the same motivations as I did, which is putting something back that you didn't have. And Chantel, I love that. So if anybody else wants to share their why, Patience, I know you've got one. I know you've got one. So it matters how you show up and who you are. Absolutely. So what's your why? Right? Tell, that's so beautiful. Sometimes it comes from a fiery place. Sometimes it isn't, right, this like sweet traipsing through the daisies. Sometimes it's like we've been through a lot of shit. I've been forged in fire. Diamonds are created under pressure, and we're no different, right? So sometimes it's from tough things that come the most brilliant whys, and also your connection, your love for your kids. So sometimes we're inspired to create a different world and a different experience for people based on our own journeys, right? I think that's so powerful. And so I want you to really just kind of, if you can, grab onto that idea about the why. Truly, because that's when it gets hard, and life will get hard. It'll get harder, and then it'll get easier, and then it'll get harder. And can you guess how many times I said this in my therapy practice? Because it's hard when we're in a state where we feel like we're getting knocked on our asses, to remember that it will also be better again. And so this is that for those times where we feel like we're kind of getting sucked under life, we want to remember that there's something that we're working for, because that's more powerful than almost anything. And if we can use that, it fuels us, right? So I want you to understand that that's what this is. I want you to reach for that why. I want you to reach to elevate yourself in your life. And so this is for everybody. Obviously, normally I'm talking to business women and supporting them in their purpose journey, but honestly, this is the passion of my life. It's not just one three-dimensional, it's like not just one-dimensional kind of something. It's three-dimensional, or hopefully five, right? But it's a bigger thing than that. And so I just wanted to share those thoughts with you, as I'm, like I said, in all the feels this week. I kind of came in, I did a non-traditional live. Typically I enter with all of the things about who I am and what I do. And today was like, you know what? Today is just, this week, I'm just going to be a mom. This week, I'm just going to be the human being that shows up and has the feels and does the things and celebrates my kid and misses my mother, and just be a human being about it, and spend time in those feelings to just allow them to be present, to reflect, right? And to try to show up as powerfully as I can for my family, for my daughter. And for her celebration, to celebrate her life and her achievements. And so anyway, I hope I've left you with something. I hope I get you fired up to step into that space of your why, to use that to stand in your purpose, because it's going to be a beautiful guidepost for your life, right? And like I said, they'll change, let them change. But I want to really fire you up for that perspective of having a lens and a focus of where you want to go. What do you want to culminate in the world? That is your purpose. What do you want to culminate? It doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be a thing. It can be an energetic expression, right? I want to experience that when people are in my wheelhouse, they feel elevated, they feel better, they feel transformed, they feel safe, right? They feel whatever it is. That's purpose. That's purpose. And so we want you to make those connections. And so please, 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 in the comments, I want to hear about what your why is. Tell me about your why because it's powerful. Somebody else will learn from you, I promise. And so tell me about your why. What gets you out of bed? What motivates you? What gets you fired up? I would love to hear about that. So again, and everybody that's listening or engages, take something away from that. So if you're willing to share and be vulnerable, somebody else needs to hear what you have to say, not just me. And so I would love it if you would share with us what your why is. So anyway, this is Jen with Laughing Lotus Wellness. Thank you so much for joining me today. This was such a beautiful, like, I didn't even see it coming. I should have known better. According to this week, this is the way things were going to go. But I want to thank you for coming and hanging out with me and sharing this energy, and know that there's a million parents out there that are going through the same thing this week, seeing lots of final day pictures. And I get it. There's so many things going on for many of us. And I just want to honor that and lock arms with those parents out there that are doing the same transitional time. Just sending them blessings, love, and light as well, not just to all y'all, of course, which I will. But I just want to send that special sweetness out to parents who are going through all these things and celebrating both the adulthood and the moving away from childhood. There's a lot of things that are going on there. So just grateful to be here today. And thank you so much for joining. So as always, purpose is my jam. You all know it. If ever you've got questions about that specifically and you feel like you're stuck and you're not quite sure where you're going, I always welcome you reaching out to me directly. Like, hey, Jen, I'd love to do a chat. I'd love to talk with you about this. I'm feeling stuck. I'm not sure. How can I reach? Maybe you need help clarifying your why. That's a lot of what people come to me for, is to clarify their purpose and to clarify the why, to create that vision to move forward. That's kind of my very favorite thing, because the women that I work with all want to create a legacy and they want to create impact. And so I get very fired up about that, because if I can support them creating big impact in the world, like, that's money, right? That's so cool. And so I have big dreams and visions for my own life, but I also have them for my clients. And that's something that I really love doing, and helping them elevate into that space to make that happen. And so always feel free to reach out to me. We can get on a call. It's costs nothing, I promise. But I just love connecting with people in these areas to help support your journey so that you too can rise on your path of purpose. So until next time, loves, this is Jen signing off, sending you blessings, love, and light to all. Until next time, I'll be back next Thursday, and we'll still be talking about reach. So come join me for this month for that content about reaching and climbing higher in your life. I would love to have you here. And so we'll see you next time. But if any questions, or you're desiring some support and kind of figuring out that purpose path, please, please, please reach out anytime. All right, love. See you next time. Blessings, love, and light, supporting you on your path to purpose. Take care, everybody.